Donald Trump's punitive sanctions he enforced on India. Now, there was a school of thought amongst our seasoned diplomats that we've expended 30 years of effort and time and energy into trying to forge a India-United States strategic partnership, a strategic quasi-alliance, if you so will, which was based on shared values, shared geostrategic interests. The values didn't work so well as the shared geostrategic interest did work in terms of the fact that China was seen as the rising hegemon, China was seen as the principal threat to the United States, to India, to the weaker countries in Southeast Asia, etc. And therefore, there was a need for a Indo-US strategic partnership, which was supposed to be the defining partnership of the 21st century. There was a bipartisan consensus in the United States itself, and for the past 30 years, one hell of a lot of diplomatic effort and energy have been expended into trying to forge this partnership. Now, anon comes Donald Trump, and in one fell stroke, he has made this diplomatic partnership, this strategic partnership, he trash canned the whole thing. The effort of 30 years gone, flushed down the tube of history in one fell stroke. One temperamental stroke by Trump, and the entire edifice of our geostrategic equation between India and the United States gone up in smoke. There were people who were hoping against hope that even now nothing is lost, that Donald Trump changes his mind, he does flip-flops, that he does about turns, he does volte-faces, and even now within hours of that so-called deadline, he would waive these punitive tariffs and it would all go back to, lovey-dovey relationship that we had in Donald Trump 1.0. Well, from the very beginning, I was inclined to be highly skeptical for the simple reason that it is not the trades and tariffs alone that have brought us to this sorry pass. It is the target list of Operation Sindoor. The Pakistani Air Force tried to hit 15 Indian air bases. First through drones, then it tried through the standoff munitions fired by its jet fighters, and they got shot down out of the sky like flies by the S-400 Triumph missiles. Quite obviously, India had to hit back, and India hit back and destroyed Noor Khan, the $500 million facility created by the General Electric Company of the United States as a nuclear proof, a bunker that could withstand a nuclear attack. And it was all jam-packed with satellite communications, with computer servers, consoles, etc., which was the command and control hub of the Pakistani Air Force. What we did not know was that it was still being used by the United States of America 7 years after they had fled in a very disgraceful manner, if you please, from Afghanistan. In a disgraceful exit from Afghanistan on the orders of Joe Biden, because he wanted to pivot back from Asia to Europe. He suddenly designated overnight that China was not the main enemy of the United States, that it was Russia. And then towards the end of his relationship, initially it was Joe Biden who had asked India to keep buying Russian oil and gas so that the price of oil would not cross $120 a barrel and create inflation in a very major way in an election year in the United States. It was Joe Biden who had asked us to do that. Suddenly he flipped, he flopped, and he said, you are either with us or you are against us. And suddenly India became the villain of the piece, and the hostility that the Joe Biden regime in its fading years showed towards India was unbelievable. And at the back of it was the deep state in America. The very deep state Donald Trump had promised to, take charge of, to control, to destroy, to dismantle, etc. Donald Trump had hoped for a period of peace and quiet in which he would restructure the American economy, restructure the American armed forces, build the Golden Dome, etc., etc., and tackle the deep state. I'm afraid he lost himself in a minefield of trades and tariffs. In the bargain, he has done the maximum damage to all the friends of the United States, starting from Europe, from Japan, to Korea, to Canada, Mexico, what have you. He's gone hammer and tongs against those who were friendly to the United States. I mean, it's a strange, bizarre logic, but it has turned geopolitics on its head. Any basis, it has destroyed any basis of long-term strategic planning. There is some logical framework on which nations plan their trajectories over the long term. They strategize over the long term. They try and devise grand strategies, and from that flow out their national security strategies, etc., all gone for a toss. He has declared war on India. He said the way to stop the Russia-Ukraine war, the pressure point is India. Kick India and everybody will fall in line. We thought we were strategic partners. We thought it was the defining partnership of the 21st century. Into the trash can. Into the trash can, and all of a sudden India is the one which has which is required now to face to the wrath of the United States of America, in particular Donald Trump. Donald Trump in his new incarnation 2.0 as the arch trade and tariff man. For him, the entire basis of strategic calculations is not geopolitics any longer, it's not geostrategic aspects, it is trades and it is tariffs, and applied in a zany manner which seems to go counter to the long-term interests of the United States itself. It was not just Indian diplomats who expended diplomatic capital, time and energy in building up a strategic partnership. 4 American administrations, 4 American presidents have all tried to work so hard, 30 years, Bill Clinton onwards, George Bush Jr. onwards, we've been at it in trying to build a strategic partnership between India and the United States, all gone up in smoke. There were people in India who were hoping against hope that it doesn't make sense. I mean, it is irrational, illogical, you see. And they were hoping that Donald Trump would do one more of his famous volte-faces, and we would have, instead of I love you Asim Munir, I love you Modi kind of a thing back again. I thought those hopes were far-fetched. We were not being realistic. That Donald Trump would suddenly do a volte-face is hope. That is not strategy. Is not strategy. And whatever hopes that these people had, let's suck up to Donald Trump once again, let Modi pick up the phone and talk this, that and the rest of it. Well, it's all blown up in our faces. He was not going to relent. He is not relented. All of us who were hoping against hope of a miracle of sorts that would rescue this relationship, you were living in La La Land, right? You were living in Alice in Wonderland. The real problem was the target list of Operation Sindoor. We hit back because we had to hit back, because the other Air Force was trying to destroy our air bases. So what do? Take it on the chin so that Donald Trump should not get annoyed. I'm sorry, sir, if we are in a war, it's a war, it's a war. We have to fight. It was for you to, you knew what was happening. J.D. Vance was here when this whole tamasha started, the Pahalgam fracas started. You had adequate time to take your goods out of the way, out of harm's way. But then suddenly we find that the deep state briefed Donald Trump. They pumped up Donald Trump that India has hit American bases which were still being used by the United States 7 years after Afghanistan got over and the Americans fled from Afghanistan. Oh, who the hell was supposed to know that? We hit Pakistani air bases. Now we are told that they got hit in the bargain. Well, we didn't certainly intend to hit them because we had no clue that the United States would be hanging around 7 years after Afghanistan in Pakistan. And they were calling us the strategic partners and allies and Quad and what have you. In actuality, there was a higher than the mountains, deeper than the seas relationship with Pakistan. With Asim Munir, who's now become the darling, the Sinosaur of American eyes. You are welcome to this treacherous ally. Donald Trump himself used to rail against Pakistan that they've ripped America off $30 billion and taken it for a ride and kept Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad, next to the Pakistan Military Academy, Kakul. I mean, all of a sudden, all that is forgotten and we have a new found friend and ally who is going to sort the rest of the world out for Donald Trump. Pakistan. You are welcome to this ally. I'm glad people in India have gotten a reality check. We have. In Sanskrit, there is a term called Shatru Bodh. People try and be very trachely, very friendly up front, but they are trying to stab you in the back. Now it's come out in the open. Donald Trump, like Joe Biden, has turned openly hostile at the bidding of the deep state in America. The deep state in America, Donald Trump wanted to sort it out. Well, I'm afraid the deep state has prevailed. At least in the case of India, it has prevailed. In the case of Ukraine, it has prevailed. The deep state was very keen not to have a defeat, not to have Russia score a clear victory, and therefore they wanted Putin to declare a ceasefire to take the pressure off Ukraine for now, so that Ukraine could be rebuilt and made to fight again and again and again till the last Ukrainian. There are lots of Ukrainians still alive, and they wanted to fight till the last of them are dead and gone and buried. But that's Ukraine's choice, that's America's choice. We don't want any of it. Yevgeny Primakov in the 1990s had mooted the Russia-India-China triangle. Donald Trump has done his very level best to actualize this triangular grouping, which is the core actually of BRICS. And Donald Trump has suddenly declared that China is not his main enemy, it is the BRICS, and in BRICS he is focusing on India as the main enemy. Well, we can't help it. We tried to be friends, we tried very hard, we thought we were sister democracies, but if that is what you want, then we have to safeguard our national interests. Donald Trump thought that Europe has come on his bended knee, so has Japan, so has South Korea, so has everybody, the rest of the world has fallen in line. I will just have to kick India and teach it a lesson, and they will come crawling and begging and, weeping. I'm sorry, India is a civilizational state that was around much before the Europeans were still living in caves. Right? Europe can bend, India is not prepared to bend. India has its national self-respect, its national sovereignty, it values its strategic autonomy, especially having lost it for 200 years of colonialism. We are not prepared to become the 51st state of the United States. We are not prepared to become a colony. And for Donald Trump to live in a time warp, colonial time warp, I think it's a bit too late. It's a bit too late. So India has decided to assert its national sovereignty and national interest. We will buy oil from where it suits our economic and geopolitical interests. The Russian weapons have worked beautifully. And I think now, if Donald Trump is going to be so hostile, he doesn't want to impose any tariffs on China. Why? Because China can bite back. China has told them no rare earths. Jao. So Donald Trump thinks that India can't hit back. India will come crawling, begging. Well, I think even Donald Trump will realize that he is dealing with a very ancient civilizational state, if he is not already realized this. And in doing so, the art of the deal in which you kick one side until it just caves in, well, it's not working. It's worked in a manner which will harm the long-term geopolitical interests of the United States itself. John Bolton is saying that, Nikki Haley is saying that, Rubin is saying that, Tulsi Gabbard is saying that, a whole lot of, well-meaning friends of India and America, I mean, they're all saying, and geostrategists like Fareed Zakaria, geopolitical pundits, they're saying America has done itself harm by pushing India into the Russia-India-China triangle. Henry Kissinger had said, it should be settled maxim of American foreign policy never to take on more than one major Asian power at a time. And the Asian powers that he was alluding to were precisely Russia, India, China. In international relations, the simple fact is there are no permanent friends, there are no permanent enemies. There are only permanent national interests. What should India do now? Well, now that America has done its worst, you've done your worst. Fine, we won't trade with you. There are a hell of a lot of other people who will trade with us. There are tried and tested friends who have stood by with us for decades. Decades. From the 1971 war, which I took part in, we saw the way the Russians have stood by us. They are tried and tested friends. They don't take $1 billion and stab you in the back and not send you the GE 404 engine. I think to start with, we should cancel that deal. We should go in for the Safran engine and fit it onto the Tejas, fit it onto the Amka. The Russian weapons have worked beautifully. We need Sudarshan Chakra, we need our Iron Dome, we need a defense shield. Let's go right ahead and build it. In 71 also, that time China and America were both supporting Pakistan to the hilt. The Americans had sent the 7th Fleet to browbeat India, and yet Pakistan had been broken into two. I think the time has come. Destiny has spoken. We will have to destroy Pakistan now before it becomes too much of a pain in the neck. In Op Sindoor, it was beaten to a pulp. It got saved by the Americans. I don't think we should let Pakistan off the hook because of the United States the next time. We should finish the job that we had started in Op Sindoor 1.0, and even if China and America unite against us, India can still pull it off. It had so pulled it off in 1971. The nuclear threat of Pakistan has been shown up to be a paper tiger. I think the time has come for India to show its spine, to stand up straight and tall, and to safeguard its natural national self-interest, its self-respect, sovereignty, and preserve its strategic autonomy in the face of all challenges that come from whichever direction. Russia is being helpful. Russia has said 5% discount on the oil that it is going to sell to us, and we will continue to buy the Russian oil because it suits us. It safeguards our national economic interests. We must now buy Russian weapons openly. We don't need the F-35s. We need this Su-57. We need the S-400s. We need the S-500s. And Russia has very magnanimously offered to give India, offered to buy the Indian products that were being earlier exported to the United States. We've had a free trade agreement with UK. We can sign one with Europe. We can sign with so many Southeast Asian countries and find alternative markets. 1998, we had sanctions imposed upon us, much tougher sanctions. It only made India stronger. I'm very certain that this second phase of American pressure will only strengthen India. It will be counterproductive for the United States itself. If you are going to make enemies out of drive all your enemies together, that's your geopolitical choice. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind.